Attention credit collections professionals. Debt collectors must continue to obtain prior express consent to call a consumer's cell phone number when using an autodialer or pre-recorded message. This is the ruling from the new FCC information on the TCPA, effective February 15th. On February 15th, 2012, the Federal Communications Commission, also known as the FCC, issued a report and order under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act of 1991, also known as the TCPA. They imposed a new restriction on auto-dialed and pre-recorded telemarketing calls, also known as robocalls. The recent FCC ruling on the TCPA has caused some confusion for collection agencies and collection professionals, as well as some of the search bug clients that use the search bug phone list cleaning tools to identify the line type in an effort to identify cell phones for compliance. This new ruling talks about a debt collector's ability to call a consumer's wireless number through the use of an auto-dialer. The recent ruling does not change the existing requirements for debt collectors to comply with the TCPA. A debt collector must still obtain a consumer's prior express consent to call a consumer's wireless number using an autodialer or pre-recorded message. The final rule only applies to telemarketing calls and does not apply to collection calls. Debt collectors must still comply with the TCPA requirements as they existed before the ruling. Credit and collections professionals should continue to identify phone line type in an effort to remain in compliance. If you are unsure of the type of line you are calling, be it a cell phone, a landline, or VoIP line, you can use the free line identification service tool found on searchbug.com. Specifically, the report and order implements 4 new restrictions. These restrictions include telemarketers must get express written consent before placing robocalls. Consent can be provided electronically. The established business relationship exception to the FCC's existing telemarketing rules no longer applies to robocalls. Under the TCPA, this exception allowed robocalls to residential lines, also known as landlines, when the caller had an established business relationship with the consumer. Telemarketers must now placing robocalls must include an automated, interactive opt-out mechanism on each call so the party called can cease further calls. And lastly, the FCC's existing rules include a 3% limit on the percentage of dropped or abandoned calls that a telemarketer may incur using predictive dialers over a 30-day period. The current rules allow telemarketers to average the number of dropped or abandoned calls over multiple campaigns. This rule is modified so that the number of dropped or abandoned calls will be measured on a per-campaign standard. Please note that you can reach the FCC at fcc.gov for Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It can be found there. This information has been provided by SearchBug, and it is not intended to be legal advice and may not be used as legal advice. Legal advice must be tailored to the specific circumstances of each case. Every effort has been made to assure that this information is up to date as when published. It is not intended to be a full and exhaustive explanation of the law in any area, nor should it be used to replace the advice of your own counsel. For information about keeping your data compliant or cleaning your call list, contact SearchBug Inc. You may reach us by going to searchbug.com or by calling us at 800-990-2939. If you're watching this video on YouTube or another video website, you should see a link to the landline or cell phone ID service in the description below that you can click on. Otherwise, you can go to www.searchbug.com/batch/phone-number.aspx as you see it here in this video.